basically pre-qualified for this event by participating in one of their local VIP tournaments. The way that you get to that, obviously you want to follow the official Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG Twitter because they'll make those announcements. But what you get if you qualify in that tournament is that same ultimate duelist treatment. You basically get your first 2 rounds free, you get a bye, so you get to enter that 3rd round feeling completely refreshed.
That's right. I would love to get that, but you know what? We're going to pass it over to Billy, who's ready with our new 2 contestants.
Please make it someone good.
Appreciate it, Tom Box. We are here for the 6-round twist, and our teams are here and ready. So first up, we're introducing the Dueling Grandpas. These guys are grandpas, count me in. First up, we have Mike. Then we have Johnny. You might recognize him. Oh, and then Oscar. It looks like their hips or their backs are hurt, but they're going to be able to hopefully win this round.
What's up?
That's only just one of our
teams
that we're going to be featuring as they are going to
persuasion here.
My boy Slim. Lying in wait just like a trap card, ready to be activated.
I love those guys.
We're going to have to wait and find out who it is. It looks like they're coming on the stage now. It is Fala Galara and the Disciples. You might recognize some of these players.
Gabriel,
one of them from last weekend is Paulo, Gabriel, and Michel. These are going to be our feature match players for the 6th round.
Now this is going to be some
Team YCS Las Vegas.
So I
and man, these rounds are just breezing by. I can't believe we only have just a few left, but I'm really excited for this one. The Dueling Grandpas. Do not trust that name. These duelists have an incredible set of decks that they're going to be playing.
I'm looking forward to this. Is going to be a very big surprise for a lot of people. And I think both of these teams kind of, you know, a little famous on on different spectrums.
Well, only one of these teams can take home that beautiful Another vs. Glutonia trophy. Luckily, we have 3 of them, 1 for each player. But this is going to be exciting because we've showcased so much of Phantom Nightmare, right? We've gotten to see cool fire strategies. We've gotten to see lots of voiceless voice plays. But there's one deck we haven't gotten to feature.
And I bet a lot of you thought, oh, we're probably never going to see this deck, but we're going to prove you wrong. We know the matchup. We don't want to spoil it. This one is exciting. I'm super excited to cast this one, for sure.
Oh, yeah, this is really exciting. Again, Fala Galera and the Disciples and the Dueling Grandpas are really going to go head-to-head. Again, great records going into both of these. They both have 4 wins and 1 draw. As long as one of them is winning this one, I mean, they're really going to be set up very well in the next round. And honestly, we're getting to the point where these teams are going to start clinching their rounds in a day, too.
Now, the Dueling Grandpas, if you don't know, I think they have a bit of a challenge up to them. They have Paulo on the other side. Paulo, very solid duelist.
Great performance last week in the team tournament, Master Duel Invitational. But again, this isn't Master Duel. This is the real deal. So the duelists are shuffling, getting ready to play.
Also, Paulo also participated in the undisputed Ultimate Duelist Series tournament. Very scary.
Oh, man, so scary. And again, each of these Ultimate Duelists, we've had so many belts on the main stage here, so if you're watching the broadcast from actually at the convention center, you can see how many of the guys just went for the Ultimate Duelist Series and just packed it up and went on to Vegas.
Yeah, I think there's about 8 of them. That's half of the people here.
Yeah, but I mean, if you love Yu-Gi-Oh!, again, it's one of these things where, of course you're going to the YCS. So just make it a nice group vacation with your friends. Bring on your teammates and travel on to Vegas.
So nice.
Make it a 2-week vacation. I think that was pretty awesome. I think that's like the best detour. I finished a UUDS. Now I'm going to go play a YCS.
Exactly. If we had to ask Jesse Kahn in the same style, you just won the Ultimate Duelist Series. What are you going to do now? I'm going to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament.
Yep, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah, why not? That's the fun part.
Oh, goodness. I'm so excited. I'm holding my tongue. Viewers at home, we want this to be a surprise. We absolutely do, because this was a deck that I was so excited. I love defending this deck.
Man.
I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out. And I love the matchup, too. This is the one that I've been waiting for. And we get to do it at basically the top-level players right here, because we have 4 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. These are people at the top tables. Oh.
You don't get this far unless you're good with this deck. And the deck itself is good, and you're going to get to see it soon. So don't worry. You could hold your breath for just a moment, but soon.
I can't hold it. I just really want to tell them.
Don't. We can't spoil the surprise. It's almost like setting up a little Yu-Gi-Oh! Birthday party for all the viewers at home.
This is very exciting.
Now, speaking of the viewers of home, again, there's just so much cool stuff to do here, so we'd really love to see you at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship Series sometime, especially we've got so many great events coming up. And you don't have to participate in the main event. There are plenty of public events where you can win giant cards, play your favorite format, like the Time Wizard tournaments. Do you have a particular Time Wizard tournament that you love?
I do. I don't know if people are going to agree with me. I like
okay, what are we getting?
Wizard. Well, let's get into game 1
first.
Let's before we talk about that.
2024. It's going to be game 1 of round 6.
What are we going to get here?
Let's set our clocks to Time Wizard, I don't know, February 2024.
Freeze?
Oh, they're still getting set up here. You're going to see it on screen right about now.
Yubel?
All right, we finally get to spoil the surprise.
Yubel
It's
versus
Yubel.
Voiceless.
That's
Okay.
right. Yubel in a team with
Shifter.
4 wins, 0 losses, and 1 draw. We're starting off with Dimension Shifter on the Yubel side. You know, this
Crazy.
card doesn't actually hurt Yubel that much.
It looks like it might have been Mikkel's turn, and he just passed his turn. He just didn't really have what he needed because, again, Ascata just drew. And let's see some cool Yubel plays without the graveyard involved.
I'll normal summon Dark Beckoning Beast.
So
Dark
Dark
Beckoning
Beckoning Beast
Beast.
has been summoned. It's going to activate the effect, adding likely the opening of the Spirit Gates.
Such a powerful card. Again, a great little Yu-Gi-Oh! GX reference here. And if it comes up, you can normal summon a a 0 attack Fiend.
It matters a lot. Now, being able to use that continuous spell card, if it resolves, is going into the deck. Yeah, we are going to resolve. We're going to be grabbing the copy of the opening of the Spirit Gates. This card is fantastic. Synergizes really well with Yubel because you get to special summon out a 0 attack Fiend monster out of the graveyard. I believe this card doesn't even target.
It's so good, again, and it's so neat that all of these like old school decks finally received new support over the years. Obviously, these 2 particular cards that were being played are from the Sacred Beast structure deck, but seeing Yubel at the top tables is just not something you would
No,
expect
you do not
16
see
years
Yubel.
since she was released.
That's right. I bet most of you viewers at home did not expect to see a Yubel matchup this late into the tournament, but here we are.
I don't think we
We're
expected
starting now
Yubel at
into
all.
the Pot of Prosperity. We're going to see what we're going to draw into this Yubel, the founder of the Super Polymerization.
Oh no, seeking out, turning
yeah.
all those negative emotions into a great card. And it does feel kind of negative to have your full board super polyed, but at least Yubel's loving vision when she presents herself as Yubel the Loving Defender is a nice little surprise.
Now that Pot of Prosperity has
Damn.
been met with an Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, and now we're going to use the opening of Spirit
I just want to
Gates.
see what the Yubel
That's
thing
going
can
to
do.
add a 0.
I don't
I
know
believe
these
it has
cards
to
as-
mention
like,
one of those Sacred Beast cards
as
to
well as
add
I
the
would
added
hope
to
to.
hand.
It does. It has to mention Raviel, Lord of the Phantasms, Uriah, Lord of Searing Flame, or Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder. Try saying that 3 times fast.
Very, very difficult.
I don't think I could
but
say it even one
looking
time.
at the matchup, we have Mikkel
So
playing
Dark.
Voiceless Voice.
So we've got
I mentioned
opening
this
of the
earlier,
Spirit
right
Gates.
at the
Yep, there you
beginning
said.
of this event. This is a bit of a weirder matchup. I hope Mikkel knows what he's doing. Otherwise, it's going to be a very rough time for him.
Well, the thing that is going to be difficult, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to special summon anything from the graveyard when there is no graveyard, so Oscar's going to go and pass back to Mikkel, and the graveyard is now back in play since Dimension Shifter's effects wore off. Let's see what he does. We obviously know how you're supposed to start off a Voiceless Voice, but sometimes the deck gets into it really fast, and
I
sometimes
feel like
it
this
can't,
Voiceless,
so hopefully we
all I'm
get to see
seeing is
some
the
cool
deck is
ritual
working
plays.
so badly.
I wonder if this deck is completely telegraphed. Now we know exactly what Mikkel's playing. We have the barrier of the Voiceless Voice. That is going to resolve, and the effect is going to be reactivated to add one of those Voiceless Voice monsters. Or card. I believe it's a card. You can add the trap card as well.
It's just insane. It's really insane. Now, granted, you usually want to use the effective low in order to put those face-up continuous spells or traps onto the field. And it
Yeah,
looks like we're
but
going
low
right
still
into
can-
low.
they
Time
can
to
still
answer
play.
some prayers to the Voiceless Voice.
I'm going to give you to shuffle if I'm going to draw.
And, okay, they're going to be picking up the low, or are we going to see
Yeah.
the normal sum of low?
Normal
I
summon low would
like
be
that a
good.
lot.
I mean, obviously, we don't expect to see Summon Limit, which has been a popular card from the Voiceless Voice strategy. It's interesting
don't
wondering
like
what that
Summon Limit.
face down is going to
Just
be
based off of
on
that
the
theory.
Yubel side.
And we're going to see the normal summon of low. Low's effect will be able to place a continuous spell or trap.
Places.
That Dark Beckoning Beast, again, just a really cool chimera of all the various different like body parts from Haman and Uriah and Raviel. And it's, again, so cool to be able to play the Sacred Beast support with Yubel. It's an anime deck. It is an anime deck, but it's one that makes the top tables pretty easily, as you could say.
I actually like the fact that you can use the Sacred Beast S cards in, both of these are from GX. So it's kind of a GX into GX kind of deck.
If you're a fan of GX, you are definitely eating well this year. And again, really, it's going to be an incredible year for all kinds of support for different cards. But right now, we're just passing it over. It looks like we ended up going for the Protective Trap card from the Voiceless Voice. Just having the barrier and that is just insane. I mean, it's really setting itself up to do a lot of different things. If you're unfamiliar with that trap card, again, it's going to be able to possibly destroy itself and a number of cards on the field equal to the number of Voiceless ritual monsters you have, those Light Dragons and Light Warriors.
So we're going to activate the Saphira,
That's one and send
and
Okay.
we are going to need
Pretty
to
standard,
send one of
plays
those
for the
ritual
Voiceless.
spells into the grip, but that's
Ash.
going to be
Ash
met
is a
with an
good choice.
Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. But that's not the end of this, because we do have the trap card live. That trap card is able to get additional monsters out onto the field as long as you have something to put back into the deck. That if you have the Prayers of the Voiceless Voice ritual spell, you might be able to get yourself a Saravis
Would be certainly neat to get Saravis, honestly. Honestly, Radiance of the Voiceless Voice is just such a cool card because it's not just protective, it's also offensive, having with the barrier. But
and speak of Yubel now, we declared an attack with low, and that's going to summon out the Spirit of Yubel. Now, it functions as a disruption from hand when you declare the attack. Special summon out the Spirit of Yubel, and you get to choose to redirect the attack.
A nice compliment to the Spirit of Neos. Just an incredible card, and kind of like Battle Fader just on steroids. Getting things done, protecting your life points, which are so important, especially when things get down to the wire. But it looks like we're not going to have anything add with another discard of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
Man, Ash Blossom everywhere. Oh, it would have been really, really awesome if we did get to see the Spirit of Yubel add the additional Yubel cards into hand, but that's not the case.
Not going to be adding or setting now. Again, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, even if you chose to set, the effect does include adding, so that would be an easy way to say no.
Okay, Spirit of Yubel on the field. We just need that Yubel destroyed, and that's fine. But don't forget, there's still the opening of the Spirit Gates. As long as we are able to put the Yubel into the graveyard, the Spirit of Yubel into the graveyard, we could resummon it and then get the effects off.
Great way to recycle it, and really easy to kind of lick it off the field. Again, Spirit of Yubel, just a glorious card with so many different effects, right? You know, not being able to be destroyed by battle, not taking the battle damage, sending everything back, adding those Yubel cards. It's exciting to be able to play Yubel at this level, especially at this top table.
Now we are going to proceed to normal summon once again. Another Dark Beckoning Beast. I think we're going to add another copy of opening of the Spirit Gates.
Certainly worth it. Again, you could discard it off with the copy of the Spirit Gates you have. You're thinning down your deck. You no longer have to worry about those redundant draws. But it's an incredible card, and being able to see this is just... I'm effervescent. I am just beside myself.
Okay, we have the card added to hand. It's not necessary to have a second copy on the field. I believe there are ways to retrieve other continuous spells out of the river as long as you control a level 10 monsters with opening of the Spirit Gates.
Very easy to do when Yubel is staring you down. I mean, 10 stars is 10 stars.
We're going into attack position. Okay.
Never a good sign when you're facing down Yubel.
Yubel's very dangerous. Very, very dangerous when in attack position. Do we have the Nightmare Pain card to lead into... you know, the more damage that you can do. You can reflect the battle damage. Are we going to see that happen here? We do have two monsters. We have link options. We have cards to discard. I think things are lining up quite well for Oscar.
All this began with an attack. It's one of those things where, you know, there was a little bit of the telegraphed play, and leaving that zero attack monster on the field seemed, even Low could take it out with Low's low attack points. But now we've got those zero attack fiends in the graveyard, and SP Little Knight is here.
Hold on, we are summoning into the SP Little Knight. However, we did not use an extra deck monster. That SP Little Knight will not get the on-summon trigger effect.
No, Oscar looked like he was a little excited there, maybe thought that he was going to go ahead and banish, but again, there was not a material that appropriate for that effect. So judges caught that, players caught that, and they're not going to do anything that is an illegal activation.
But that's not too bad. We still have the Yubel in the graveyard, and the Spirit Gate is just lined up to bring back Yubel.
No, you can easily discard a copy of Spirit Gates from your hand and then go ahead and special summon the Spirit of Yubel to basically repeat the cycle once more.
Time I've summoned that card?
Okay, so we have SP. I just heard that. That's the first time he special summoned out the SP Little Knight. Okay.
SP Little Knight is certainly a powerful card, but it has to be used in the right hands. And so, unfortunately, didn't get to use its secondary effect, but we are going with that line of play. We'll go ahead and discard the opening of the Spirit Gates to go ahead and get Spirit of Yubel back to the field and probably be searching the deck right now.
Likely, we're going to see the Nightmare Pain. Once Nightmare Pain is on the field, you're going to be able to do the redirection of attack, and you must attack a Yubel monster. That makes Michelle's, like, it's just going to be very difficult to push into this field.
It becomes very difficult when you think about it because, again, what does Voiceless Voice do? It puts out big monsters that can go ahead and negate things. However, if the opponent's already set up their plays, well, you're not really worried about negating anything, and heaven forbid you try to negate and destroy Yubel.
Do not destroy the Spirit of Yubel. It's very, very dangerous.
So make sure you just get rid of it now.
And we are using the other effect of opening Spirit Gates, and we're going to retrieve a continuous spell because we have a level 10.
What discard?
And, we are going through the Yubel line. Nightmare Pain destroying the Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel is likely going to summon out the Yubel. That is wonderful. Very, very great setup.
Spirit Yubel
grabbing one of those eternal favorite trap cards. It's really neat. Again, just being able to see this high level of play. It's insane. And many Yubel fans at home are just like, what? It's just Yubel. But we're excited for you. This is your moment.
Yubel. You definitely don't want to attack into this copy of Yubel because there is effect damage that's more or less reflected, and because of Nightmare Pain, the battle damage is also reflected, and once you get that reflected, that's double damage.
Oh my goodness, I know. Just one wrong move from a 4100 attack Skull Guardian could end this duel for the owner of the Skull Guardian, Mikkel. Nightmare Pain, such a great card, and it's nice to have another one of those signature attack ones like Dark Magic Attack or Blue Eyes Lightning. It's just
Nightmare
insane.
Pain.
This is gonna be an interesting position for Michel.
Now, if you're Michel, because I know you've got great voiceless voice experience and Yubel experience, how are you getting yourself out of this? I mean, Yubel is such a sticky card. No matter what you try to do, it's always going to get its tendrils around you.
Now, the first version of Yubel requires destruction to bring out the second version of Yubel, which is the level 11 Terror Incarnate. But
Terror Incarnate's great card, too. I mean, a dark hole on wheels.
Yes, but then to remove the Terror Incarnate, it becomes even more difficult because as long as that's removed from the field, you get the last form of Yubel, and that is also very scary.
Now, if I recall correctly, Yubel Terror Incarnate does say when it leaves the field, so perhaps it might miss the timing here. So if it leaves the field and nothing happens, don't panic, Yubel fans. That's just the rules of the game sometimes. But it is true that with Yubel out here and the Nightmare Pain effect, this is kind of getting kind of scary for Mikkel.
Sorry, we
Now,
don't do that.
one of the coolest things here is that we do have the trap card, Eternal Favorite.
Hey, welcome to the stream.
That card functions like a super polymerization.
You don't say super polymerization in Yubel, huh? No, you're absolutely right. Again, if you control Yubel, you can discard a card and send this face-up card to the graveyard, fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either side of the field. Either side.
So we have activated the Saphira. Saphira has used the Trias Herachia as the cost for the ritual summon. That's going to summon out the Skull Guardian. I don't know if this is the right play right now. This is very dangerous. Most of the cards do not activate for the damage reflection. And don't forget, most Yubel monsters, they cannot be destroyed by battle.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things, too, where some decks you just have to adjust your playstyle against, whether it's Fluanderies or whatever. But speaking of adjusting your playstyle, looks like we do have some rounds on either side. Johnny in the center on the B table has won his first one, where Paulo is holding it down for the red team there. So it's basically a tied game here, 1-1, with no actual finished matches yet.
I bet they want to keep their strategy secret. I think it's working out for them very well. Now, Low has been special summon onto the field because we did get the ritual summon of the Skull Guardian.
Yeah, by tributing
So cool to see the Skull Guardian finally getting low on the field. Obviously, it's been a little bit difficult for them so far in the tournament because they've been playing against really powerful stuff. It is true that Yubel doesn't really try to stop you. It does let your game plan kind of go off. So a deck that has a natural advantage against Yubel can play around it. But I don't know that there's a natural advantage here. I think Voiceless Voice, for the most part, negating the activations but destroying the cards kind of bites them in the bud here.
This is a very dangerous spot.
I mean, I hope we get something.
No
offense.
If it goes into battle phase, I
really
think
hope
this
we
may
get
be
something
over.
interesting to watch.
Yubel does specialize in the battle phase, and it's
super polymerization. What an iconic. Well, there's more or less double super polymerization in this particular field. And we're going to see Yubel being fusioned off. We can use it Yubel plus 1+ more effect monsters, essentially every single monster on the field. And we're going to special summon out the
Yubel, the Loving Defender Forever.
This is a tough name. The Loving Defender Forever.
Forever. Now, we should be taking 1,500 damage here because we did fuse 3 different materials.
Oh!
This is a really strong monster.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone can play Yubel plus Super Poly, this is a must-have monster. It essentially clears everything off of the field.
It's definitely something where even you, as a player going against Yubel, could include it if you run Super Poly in your main deck, just so you have an answer to their outs as well.
Now, to give you like a taste of how dangerous this is, this forces you to attack into that Yubel because we do have the Nightmare Pain. But if you do attack into it, you're going to lose your monster. They're all getting banished at the end of battle there.
And at the end of the damage step, again, Yubel is going to be inflicting damage to the opponent equal to the monster's attacks. It's incredible how much damage we might be able to see. However, unfortunately, to make this Yubel, we did clear those attackers off the board. So Mikkel has an opportunity to just say, you know what? I'm going to slow this down. I'm not going to put anything on the field.
I was really hoping that the battle phase would occur right there. If we got to see that, that's like the magical cylinder monster.
Giant explosion of damage there for sure, but now Mikkel just kind of looking to the
really
graveyard, figuring out what the next step is. Again, you don't want Yubel to get her loving tendrils around you, because if she does, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. So looks like we are grabbing, I can't quite see it, but it looks like Saphira.
Now, in terms of the face down right now, one thing to note about the trap card, Eternal Favorite, that particular card needs to be already face up to use the super polymerization-esque effect. And you also need a copy of regular Yubel to use that effect.
That is
to keep
true.
that in mind, all right?
Don't misread your cards, friends. Again, it does say control one Yubel, not one Yubel monster.
Now, so you cannot activate it from face down to use that effect. It needs to be already face up. So it already telegraphs what you're going to do.
Well, I think Yubel is good enough that someone could see her coming and still be afraid. But speaking of which, we're going to go ahead and have low Prayer of the Voiceless Voice. And which card are we going to put in the spell and trap zone now? Oh, just another barrier just for that redundancy to make sure you're safe.
This is a tough position to be in because you're kind of mandatorily have to go into the battle phase. You cannot skip your battle phase. In other words, you can't just go to end phase now. You have to go into main phase, battle phase, main phase 2.
Its effects are hard once per turn, no matter how many copies, right?
Now, again, players just explaining that. You don't see Yubel every day here, but it looks like we're going to link off our low.
Well, if it's going to be Link, that's going to be an attack position.
Oh, no, it might be in the wrong zone here. Relinquish Anima taking the field and possibly absorbing that monster.
This was in slot 5, sorry.
Oh.
I did summon in slot 5, and then you read it.
It was, but can I back?
Oh, no. Is there a dispute on the positioning of that card?
Oh.
Might be a little bit, but our judges are there, so we're not too worried about it. They're just going to talk it out. So
we did know where it was summoned from.
Yeah, and then he went to read it.
Oh, and they read it and returned the card. They didn't go back to their proper zone.
I see, I see. Rolling back in the broadcast, you'll be able to see that too, but again, the players are just working out.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go back to the broadcast and have a look. Back. Super poly. Okay.
I mean, if anyone could, it's essentially Yubel. Yubel being fusioned off, we can use it. Yubel plus 1+ more effect monsters, essentially every single monster on the field. And we're going to special summon out
0.
Yes.
Might be a little bit, but our judges are there, so we're not too worried about it. They're just going to talk it out. So
we did know where it was summoned from.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he went to read it.
Oh, and they read it and returned the card. They didn't go back to their proper zone.
I see, I see. Rolling back in the broadcast, you'll be able to see that too, but again, the players are just working out with the judges
so
right now.
On summon of that, have a response?
Oh, that. You gotta be careful when you read your opponent's cards. You gotta return it back to the same position.
Rivalry of Warlords. What a great card for a mostly Fiend deck. And now you're locked into Spellcasters, which really isn't what a Light Warrior or Light Dragon deck is all about.
Well, the battle phase still cannot be skipped, so this is very, very funny. That relinquished anima.
Not necessarily a bad play, actually, though. You've reduced the total attack points on the field. Now you're not even going to take 50. It's just 0.
Yes, that's true. I feel like there was an opportunity maybe to take the game. It was a little bit risky, I would say.
Another reason why.
That Super Poly maybe they have backfired and extended the game a little bit longer.
Well, again, it's been a long day for all of our duelists. When you go to the YCS, it is a marathon, not a sprint. You are here, especially today, for 8 rounds alongside your teammates, having been woken up very early in the day. So sometimes the plays, they deviate from what you regularly would expect, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different.
Now we're activating Radiance of the Voiceless Voice. We are putting back the Skull Guardian, the Ritual Skull Guardian, or rather the new Voiceless Voice Skull Guardian, and that's summoning out Saravis onto the defense position, which is very smart. Leave in defense so it cannot attack. Otherwise, going into that battle phase will feel very, very rough.
Yeah, Shades of Battle Mania there. Those cards who can attack must attack, but obviously you're not attacking from defense mode unless you're a super heavy samurai.
So, there was a chain occurring here, so that forces the Saravis onto the field first before the resolution of the Rivalry of Warlords, which sent the anima into the graveyard instead. Now we don't even get that banished at all.
No, what a beautiful idea for a play there, just to lock yourself into a different type of monster set before the chain resolved.
Now, I don't think Mikhail is safe from damage just yet, because the Yubel can still attack into it, and if it has any defense points, that is going to come out of Mikhail's life points.
Exactly. Unlike some of the prior Yubel that have to sit and wait for your opponent's attack, our new Yubel friend is kind of more like the ultimate nightmare. It can go on the offense and still get that damage done.
And now we're activating Eternal Favorite. Eternal Favorite's other effect is to special summon out, I believe, Yubel monsters.
It is a Yubel monster. There's plenty of those to go around.
Oh, this is going to be a bit rough.
take a look at that graveyard, thinking about what fiends we might be putting on the field there. Again, it's just so wild. I know I'm so excited. I'm sorry for the viewers at home. I know there's the Seto Kaibas in the chat are just like, it's a 10-star monster doing what it's supposed to do. But it's exciting to see because, again, some card, every Yu-Gi-Oh card is someone's favorite.
So we're activating the effect of Sorayas through the Eternal Favorite. And this is interesting because there is a Dragon Ritual monster available. Okay, so we're going to be able to pay the cost, which is return to hand, but now that there's nothing on the board, you can special summon anything else, but we're going to go with Sorayas anyway.
Interesting.
Nice to see Sorayas on the field. We talked about it earlier. It was a great card just for its ability in the hand, but it's nice to see monsters used for their intended effect. Speaking of which, here's Yubel on the field.
Okay, so Sorayas has quite a bit of defense points.
Opening of the Spirit Gates.
That's going to hurt.
Hold on, I think we're going to go into battle phase, and this battle phase could end the entire game.
It's going to be big battle damage coming your way.
Yeah.
You really have to, like, the Yubel feels like quicksand. I move a little bit too much, I sink. I move a little bit too much, I sink even further.
Now, Sorayas can only negate the special summon of monsters that do not start a chain, so the opening of the Spirit Gates is not something that Sorayas can negate.
Oh boy.
No, you need a completely different card for that.
Someone's
so it
getting
seems
hit
like
by
Mikkel
the
is just trying to wriggle
Yubel.
free, and there is no way out.
I don't think there's an out here. Once that Spirit of Yubel lands onto the field, we're just going to attack straight into the Sorayas.
I think they're demonstrating for the defense points there, so we just know how much damage we're taking.
I believe it's 2,800 defense points, and that multiply that by 3, as long as you're not using the Fusion Yubel, okay? As long as we're just using the other Yubels to leave it on the field, we're gonna be cooking.
Loving Defender is certainly a great card, but you may not want to
spell
use its effect because it is going to deal damage and then banish that monster. Right now, it's kind of nice to just have monsters to crash into.
We're waiting for a response here. This is a tight position. I think we're moments away from closing out this game, but we have Effect Failure activated to negate Yubel. That's not going to stop Nightmare Pain.
It is not going to start Nightmare Pain. You're really going to have to deal with all the spell cards and the monster cards on the field. Again, this is very like a treacherous trap hole if I ever saw one.
I don't. It's the Nightmare Pain that's reflecting the battle damage, not the other monsters.
I think Mikkel just found out. He just knows no matter what you do, you're just falling into Yubel's loving arms.
This is just trying to read everything. Gotta. Oh, is this my out? Is that my out? Okay, we are using the effect to destroy the Rivalry Warlords. Maybe there's an opportunity.
No, that definitely helps. We talked about it earlier, just being able to send that trap card to the graveyard, or rather destroy it, and then destroy as many cards as you have, like Dragon or like Warrior Rituals. Now, we don't have a lot on the field, but getting rid of Rivalry Warlords allows you to get back in that deck and show the diversity that the Voiceless Voice has.
Now, Yubel attacks. That's 28. 28. That's a lot of damage.
And it's been great seeing these damage-reflecting decks, whether it was Mikanko's strategy that we saw at the last 2 YCSs that were broadcast on North American shores, or Yubel now. You are not safe just because you're in defense mode.
No, that just, it feels like, which is Lyrilusk.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, the second you put a monster on the board, you may have already lost.
Exactly. And being at 2,800 defense, that's a lot of damage you have to take. And with the negated effect of the Fusion, Yubel, the loving defender forever.
Absolutely. Definitely showing some love to our Yubel fans, but just doing a lot of damage calculation. Again, lots of numbers to keep track of, but again, the battle damage is not necessarily coming from the Yubels, including the negated ones. It is coming from Nightmare Pain.
This is, oh, that is game.
That is game.
Definitely packing it up. Just score 1 for Team GX.
This is a rough start. I mean, Voiceless Voice, you think that you're so safe with the negation, but don't forget, your Skull Guardian negates and destroys. So in other words, when the Spirit Yubel activates from hand, you sometimes just have to let it go through. You have to let it go through.
Have to let it go through. And that's one of the weird things about Yubel is it's a deck that you want to resist against. You do not want those cards happening. But you kind of can't do that. So again, you have to develop these different strategies. And we've seen that before for some more common decks, right? Like getting hit by a Dimension Shifter. You don't panic. You figure a way around it. What is the way around Yubel? Just don't commit any cards to the table, let those zeros stare you down?
But that doesn't work out. We do have an extra deck, after all, in Yu-Gi-Oh! And rank 10 monsters also can hit very, very hard. There are certain train-esque monsters for rank 10.
The Pain Train, it would be so cool to see, you know, a couple of 1,000 points of damage. Maybe we'll get to see a Geist Grinder Golem or something like that. And then closing it out with a beautiful Gustav Max.
That's right. Or there's the other, the Libe.
Oh, that's
Libe
right.
as well.
No, definitely a stacked extra deck, and you really don't need a whole lot out of the Yubel deck. As you notice, the only thing that Oscar brought out was the SP Little Knight that he summoned for the very first time.
Don't need the extra deck, right?
You don't need it. You got Yubel. You're fine. She got your back.
I mean, right now, the blue team, I believe, have 2 wins on their side so far. Really, really well done by Oscar. Just, this is the deck that you need knowledge of. I've been saying time and time again, the Yubel cards, if you don't read them, you're going to be taken by surprise. You would not even know why you're taken by surprise. You're like, oh, I guess I won't attack into it if I'm going to take the damage. Oh, no. You have to attack into it.
You have to do it. It's one of those things where almost the only answer you have is a counter super polymerization strategy of your own. And we are seeing people main deck super polymerization. I feel like it's been on the uprise since around Rescue a Sinful Spoils. It's just like a counter because of all the fun things you can do with a warrior and a dragon synchro, etc. But super polymerization is definitely going to be a really important card going forward. And if you have the space in your extra deck, you might consider including those super polys and maybe a Yubel of your own.
Yeah, I think I can try that with the branded Chimera strategy, mainly because Yubel also is a fiend.
Oh, you're right, you're right. Man, we might be Yubel fans, but we might be the only Yubel fans left after this, because this is going to be just kind of a massacre of a duel. Again, we don't always get to see these like slower strategies, and I don't want to say that Yubel is slow, but it's this very methodical, like, I'm going to beat you when I feel like beating you.
Now, one thing about sliding being very difficult for these particular teams is that the dueling grandpas, they're not using a common strategy. I have to say that, like, it's definitely catching people off guard. Their siding pattern, probably no one is prepared for them at all.
And we can't spoil any secrets, but there's just been some incredible stuff. But we're going to go right into game 2 of this incredible round 6 feature match.
Interesting.
Here we go. I think the plan is probably for Voiceless Voice to go first. Unfortunately, I don't think Voiceless Voice has a lot of non-destructive removal against this deck.
They really don't, and how could they worry about it, right? Plenty of cards don't mind being destroyed, and you can push through it, but wow, now that is a pre-preparation of the rights if I ever saw one.
That's a beautiful one. And it's met with just as beautiful, the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
One great card deserves the turn of another. So now we're down to 4 cards here on Mikkel's side. Got to figure that out, but that's okay. Obviously, there's certainly a lot of different things. Maybe a Saphira discard right here could change things up.
Oh, Low is also a good choice. That's going to place one of those Voiceless Voice Battle or Trap card onto the field. I love it how it's placed onto the field, so even under Drone Lockpick, you'll still be able to place one just in case.
Even under
a lot of great cards for sure. And speaking of Saphira, we are going to see it discarded. Let's go ahead and send a ritual spell to the graveyard.
All prayers to the Voiceless Voice has been placed into the graveyard, and we're also going to add, I believe that is a Saravis?
Looks like a Saravis. Could just barely make that one out.
I mean, Saravis is a very useful card after all in the hand. If your opponent targets your monster, you can send the Saravis, and that's going to negate it.
No, it's really good stuff. Looks like we're going to go ahead and get our ritual on here, right? Banishing the Saphira, using the Low as the entire tribute for those star levels, and then bringing out Skull Guardian.
And once the Skull Guardian is special summoned onto the field, that's going to allow Low to trigger in the graveyard and re-special summon herself back onto the field, and that enables the negation play.
Called the Protector of the Voiceless Voice for a reason. Skull Guardian's negation effect. It's just so straightforward. Kind of reminds me of Sword Soul, where it's just big bodies clanking down on the field and getting their setup very quickly. And you never really have to worry about Nibiru the Primal Being, because look, how many summons was that? 3.
Yep, that's
and once we have this particular field set up,
yeah,
I think we want to get that trap card live as well. You need the disruption. You can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to have one negate and pass turn. It's going to be very difficult.
So he needs to have Dynamondo.
It's not nearly enough, because again, that negate also destroys cards. That's going to be weird. But looks like we're seeing a very similar start here with the drop of the Dark Beckoning Beast.
Dark Beckoning Beast has been negate and destroy the Dark Beckoning Beast, so we're not going to be able to add the opening of the Spirit Gates. Oh, triple Tactics Talents in response to that. Now that a monster effect has been activated, we are going for drawing cards.
Well, that should put up to 5 cards in hand, because that would have been the 4th one from Triple Tactics Talents. And I don't really think like you're going to get much out of trying to send the cards back from the hand at this point. You really need those extra resources since your opponent's already activated that one Omni Negate.
I think this is an interesting position to be in.
It is
even for Oscar, where if he has the Spirit of Yubel in hand, there's not too much that's scary. Oh, wow. A triple Tactics Thrust.
Now you can really get in the game here by grabbing any spell or trap you want.
Evenly matched.
It doesn't even need to be sent onto the field because your opponent controls monsters. I can't quite make out what that card is.
I think that's 1 for 1. I swear for the life of me, for what I'm seeing.
1 for 1 is a fantastic card, considering there is a Samsara D Lotus as an option. And we're going to put Yubel into the graveyard. What a great cost, because Yubel can summon Yubel from anywhere. Even from Banish.
It's so wild,
Well,
the banishment.
the Banish will have to come from I believe the trap card. Let me just correct myself right there. And we get the Samsara D Lotus.
Oh, sorry.
Samsara D Lotus, obviously a spiritual successor of Samsara Lotus.
Yeah, when I first saw that thing, I thought it was the original one.
Tributed, special summon out your Yubel, and then during your opponent's turn, you know, you can again tribute the card, and the activated card effect becomes destroy Yubel. You thought you had a game plan, but no, sorry, you're playing into mine.
It's
That
interesting.
Samsara D Lotus can perhaps turn into a Spirit of Yubel. You get to summon a Yubel monster. And it's like a Lone Fire Blossom.
Oh,
Except it's a Lotus.
Different
Well, that was
plans, but
negative.
yeah. All right, looks like we're going to Link Karibo, a little protection there. Very funny to make those monsters zero attack. Obviously, not quite what you need, but it'll at least give you a way to protect yourself.
Go ahead.
So it was a Link
No,
summon
that's
on
all.
past
Oh, no,
turns.
that's all.
I mean, was that the infinite impermanence that negated the card so that we couldn't get access to the Yubel? That looks to be the case. With no spell or trap card, this is a very dangerous field to look down on.
Now, we say that pass with such drama, but what if Ascara is just holding in a Spirit of Yubel?
Yeah,
It's
holding a
also-
Spirit of Yubel, it's just so safe in this matchup. I just can't emphasize that enough. You can't destroy it. It's just, there's so much follow-up.
It is very difficult to OTK this particular deck. There is no way that you're going to be able to put 8,000 on the board to be able to get around these things. Now, there's certain things I can think of, like a Sword Soul Tenyi deck might be okay with a Berserker
Well, no,
the
you
Tenyi
can summon a
unit,
second
or
Skull
banishing,
Guardian,
negating the
couldn't you?
effect. But that's not a matchup you see every day. Hey, and neither is this one.
Is Mikhail tunnel visioning into trying to do 8,000 damage in one shot? That's going to be a very dangerous play, very, very risky play.
Certainly not necessarily. He might feel emboldened because he's not necessarily staring down the same field. Remember the last time this happened, he was staring down Nightmare Pain, the eternal favorite. Here he's got nothing, but that's kind of how we got here.
Oh no, we are scooping up our cards, and that's going to be a concession from Oscar. 1-1.
Definitely saw enough.
Not over yet.
Sounds like he did not have the
great.
Spirit of Yubel. That seems like an indication that he was not really going to be protected that turn.
Seems like the other two duelists on the team are still going at it.
And what a strategy they have. We won't spoil no surprises, but if we do get to peek on that, that's a cool one too.
Oh, I hope we get a slight chance to just
Oh man,
a little taste.
just so they
That'd
can
be
know
nice.
how
That'd be nice.
incredible this team is. Do not take the dueling grandpas at their word. They're-
I mean, like I would say, in this
I
particular
love it,
team
man.
matchup,
It's
I
so fun.
think the team, the red team is more favored. With Paulo there, Paulo is such a decorated duelist.
Paulo is
absolute veteran of the game and no slouch.
Very
but It is
capable.
one of those things where obviously he got into it. He was able to just get his game plan going. But right now the duelists are siding, and it looks like we're 1-1, so perhaps the matches are over and we are really just watching Yubel decide it all.
Oh wow.
That would be interesting.
Can you imagine at this stage in the tournament we're getting Yubel being the deciding factor?
Oh, you know what? Those 1-1, that's our bad because that's the 1-1 between their score, not the overall tables.
Oh, not the overall tables.
Sorry about that, viewers at home. Sorry, we were just so excited. But it looks like there's a handshake, so I guess somebody did finish up there.
And
don't think that's going to pack it up for everybody.
well, I think we're still going. I think both the A and C tables are still going on.
Good deal and good duels ahead.
Good deal and good duels ahead.
It's just incredible to see every piece of Phantom Nightmare really paying off. Again, we know that there were some Aro Mage players out there, and if they can make their way to the top tables, we would love to bring them up too. I know there was some Goblin Bikers as well too. One of these days, I would love to sit down and see
on
Goblin
the
Biker Big
feature
Gabonga
match?
get its game
That sounds
on.
interesting.
Is that the name of the Xyz monster?
Yeah, Goblin Biker Big Gabonga. Try
Big
saying that at home.
Gabonga.
Big Gabonga.
I'm not going to try and say that.
But again, it's just so cool to see that Phantom Nightmare has made this really big impact on the game, and it's not just the Snake Eyes Sinful Spoil strategy, it's not just the Voiceless Voice, it's everything, including the cover card, Yubel the Loving Defender, forever.
Yeah, I think that card is the scariest just fusion monster. Just such a generic
yeah.
material. I'm glad it says
Henceforth,
Yubel
another deck where
monster,
I'm gonna say-
not just Yubel.
Oh, if it said Yubel, man, Elemental Hero Prisma would be the best card ever printed at that point.
It's way
I'm
too
legitimately
dangerous. And
saying,
that
I
mean,
think Daddy
Super
Soul is the
Poly
answer.
just gets that much more access
I mean,
into
I know
just
some of them
wiping
is
the
kind of one of
entire
those things
field.
that just gives you complete control
So it
over
looks
the
like
game.
tables A
but
and C are 1-1
I think
right now, which is
Anti-Stall just
really
gives you
cool.
better control.
Okay.
Especially when you
Table B
have
is
Omni-Negate.
2-1.
2-1, that's
certain
right.
cards
So
you can't use.
it's really getting down to the wire here. And again, it's going to just be determined based on this Yubel-based play. Again, the judges have their own separate clock up there too, just to make sure the time is going well. So you never need to worry about whether or not the clock is being monitored. But again, this is just incredible. Oh, we got a handshake over there.
Are we even? Are we even? Are we going to get to see the finishing game of Yubel? I think we are.
Now, for students of Duel Academy at home, remember the reason why Prisma... Oh, skip that, because we are going into this final game three. Here we go, the deciding factor.
So we have a table...
Oscar
table B being 2-1. Right now we have 1-1 for table A and 1-1 for table C.
He's got shifter.
Good update, okay. Looks like we're starting out with
we got Gamma!
Oh, look! Psy-Frame Gear Gamma rears its head.
Oh, wait, there's a ghost bell in there. There's a ghost bell, there's a ghost bell.
Put Psy-Frame Driver on the field if this resolves.
I mean, it is a high-pressure card, but I think just using a Dimension Shifter might not be everything here. It's a strong card against Voiceless Voice, not letting them get access to the graveyard.
You now
it's
make
a pretty
Omega?
big deal. However,
please
if
tell me.
Yubel is able to establish now,
really hope
they get their
Michael
access
plays
to the graveyard as
Omega.
well.
This
It's
would be
not
so
over
much
yet.
fun.
I mean, it's a great card, great card.
Oh yeah, great card. We've seen more Psy-Frames being played. Again, last week we got to see Psy-Frame Delta take the main stage. Now we're seeing Psy-Frame Gamma.
Come on,
every letter of the alphabet.
We're going to set one. Are we passing turn? We're setting one and passing turn.
Oh, okay. It was
we've got
his
another
turn.
update.
Okay.
Looks like table A is done. And table B is done. So this is the deciding factor. This is 1-1. Both teams have one win apiece between their duelists, so this is huge.
Will Mikhail take it with a Gamma turning off the Dimension Shifter, enabling his own turn? Or are we going to see some Spirit of Yubel action?
Well, there's not going to be a whole lot of battle damage done this turn. Of course, Pot of Prosperity halving that, so I think
it'd be kind of hard to
definitely
get that.
probably would banish 6 if I were in Mikhail's shoes right now. We got to go deep into the deck to find those options.
No.
We get a little peek at the hand there. It seems like it is 2 copies of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion and an Eternal Favorite. So there is no Spirit of Yubel to save us. And again, here's our table scores again. Michael losing to Paulo 2-1. Johnny beating Gabriel 2-1. So again, Oscar versus Mikhail. This is it. Dueling Grandpas versus Fala Galera and the Disciples. All down to this.
I cannot.
This is how I would like to see it. We want the feature match table to be the ones closing out the game. We are not going to see any surprise. Oh, the game suddenly ended. We have a handshake extended all of a sudden. No, we're going to see this finish to the end.
A walk-off home run is exciting, but what's more exciting is even more great dueling action. So let's take a look at our 6 cards from Pot of Prosperity.
Lots of action there. There's a Fallen of Albaz in there.
Oh, he's playing the
branded Voiceless Voice.
Oh, I know what he's doing.
Great super polymerization of your own, not necessarily as protected as the
You're using it to make
Sanctifier
Sanctifier Dragon so you can get Jowgen.
But certainly a way to get your opponent's monsters off the field without necessarily destroying them or doing anything that might trigger their effects.
So that Gamma definitely putting on a lot of work here, enabling Mikhail to have a turn to use the Saphira without losing out all those additional effects in the graveyard.
Graveyard's certainly probably the most important pile of cards here today. Sometimes, you know, it's all about the banishment, but really the graveyard is so important.
Oscar to contemplate whether or not to use that Ghost Bell on that card, because Saphira can't add back from the graveyard after all. That was an option.
We don't have to.
Looks like we're going to go ahead and grab this Aravis here. Just difficult. Oscar might be feeling the pressure, you know. His opponents have done some great work.
Okay, it's fine.
And we're going to activate the effect of Saphira in the graveyard. We're going to put away the Trias Haurachia, and we're going to special summon out our Skull Guardian, Protector of the Voiceless Voice. Now, that's likely going to add into a low if we don't already have a low. I think low would have already been summoned, so we might be fetching into the low right now.
It's exactly what we're going to grab. It's a shame we haven't been able to see Trias Haurachia like get to do its effects on the field. It's a really cool, interesting card that slots very well into the Voiceless Voice deck. Very heads up to include that.
Now, once that normal summon lands onto the field, now Mikhail is going to feel very, very safe.
Definitely, and what he doesn't know is that there is not really a Spirit of Yubel there to save him. Now, we don't know what that face down card is, but I feel like it might have been activated a little earlier if it was going to be consequential to this duel.
Now, there could be a lot of damage going out, but there's also a face down card that we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know
and we do have our
we do know
4100
Oscar's going to get maybe one more turn.
Certainly could do something about that with the Radiance of the Voiceless Voice. Remember, there is one card on the field that is a ritual monster, so that can at least you get one destroyed.
Get a
How much damage can we output at the moment? So the card that we are looking at, Skull Guardian, Protector of the Voiceless Voice, you need to control low to use the negation effect. Very, very important. And even for the Barrier of the Voiceless Voice, you need a ritual plus a low, a light ritual that's Dragon or Warrior to get the protection effect as well.
Definitely what the deck is all about, and always fun when Skull Guardian gets that double boost so we don't have to calculate in 50s.
Yeah.
And we're attacking with low, and we're also attacking with the Skull Guardian. That's a lot of damage. Just 41 plus. How much does low have again?
Should be 50 if I recall correctly.
50 is enough to beat over the 0.
So we didn't get over the 50s after all.
Yeah.
Beautiful decade. Funny
There we
number to
go.
calculate.
250. It's 2075.
2,000.
Because of the half damage. Remember, we had the Pot of Prosperity earlier in the duel.
41 plus
So,
4150. So
4150 divided by 2. Man, we are getting into some solemn
God,
judgment
I
after that.
hate these things, man. I hate these kinds of numbers. I did this once with Pearly with the
Again,
half
Duelist just
damage.
really trying to hang in there.
Like, half an
Again,
opponent's
there
monsters
are players
down
on both
enough,
sides.
but
The
you're under
team can go ahead and
prosperity, so
coach them,
every
and
single
that's kinda
damage
helpful
is
too, since
halved.
the duelists have
Oh
wrapped
God,
up. They can offer
worse.
advice here. But you got to make a move at some point. And again, here we go. Oscar's going to draw us. Let's see what happens.
We need to see that Spirit of Yubel. But right now, without the field established for Oscar, it's going to be very, very difficult. I don't know if that one negate is going to basically just block off everything. We're going to
looks
set
like we're only
one.
setting it. I feel like there's a commentator's curse, right? I say what that card is, and it definitely isn't. But I feel like that might be Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion in defense mode.
Yep, it is.
It could be. It could be. Maybe we can reflect a little bit of damage with the low. I don't think the low is going to go into any sort of attacking motion.
No way low is
Couldn't
going
imagine it. There's no reason to do that just yet, but it looks like we're going to use the Radiance of the Voiceless Voice.
The first one.
So we're going to use the first effect of the Radiance of the Voiceless Voice. That's going to put back the Ceravis into the deck and likely special summoning out the other Ceravis out of the Dragon Sage. Oh no, we're going to go straight into low. Low is going to set up another card that's going to be the Barrier.
That's interesting.
I'd like to make the call here, but it's going to be Barrier. Barrier is very safe. Now we cannot target these monsters. That's actually really, really good.
Great effect too, and now you actually can perform another ritual summon without abandoning your low, which is very, very nice.
That's really good.
Now with a set monster,
Just on pins and needles. No, I know this is a nail biter of a match because you want both of these duelists to win. They both have incredibly interesting strategies that they're piloting. And while we can't tell you what their friends are playing, those are cool too. So again, it's really hard to pick a favorite here, but Mikkel is in just such a dominant position. We've obviously seen Oscar's hand at one point. We know we haven't seen a Spirit of Yubel. Unless he picked one up just now, this may be the end for our hero.
This probably is the end of the
that's
game.
unfortunate. Without Nightmare Pain, even with the Spirit of Yubel, Spirit of Yubel is only going to delay the damage coming through, because Spirit of Yubel, unlike all the other Yubel monsters, actually does not reflect effect damage.
It does, and it's good, but it can't be that good. They have to give some of the card effects to the other cards, right? But it looks like we are going to go ahead and discard Saphira, send that ritual to the graveyard, and add what appears to be a traditional Ceravis from the deck to the hand.
Yeah.
And we're going to use Saphira's effect. I think that's Protector. That is the Skull Guardian.
It is the Skull Guardian
Protector. Okay. And that's going to be summoned out. Low likely going to be special summoned back out onto the field, making it so that there's always protection on the field.
Oh, what an incredible board here. Again, 4,100 attackers that have the ability to have an Omni negate.
Now what you need to do
low,
is
so you don't have to worry about them getting ready to snipe out either of them. The Barrier of the Voiceless Voice is going to go ahead and protect them because, again, you have that great combo of your low and your ritual monster. And Radiance of the Voiceless Voice is really going to prevent your opponent from ever getting into the game. Or you could just use it to recycle your resources just like we saw.
Okay, they're just squaring off all the zones.
Cleaning up the board state, obviously, there's just been so many cards that have been slapped down. Looks like we're going to go ahead and shuffle 2 spells, including a ritual. I think it's time to see a Dragon Sage.
Yep, Dragon Sage is coming down.
So my
This is a tight position.
Oscar's eyes kind of avoidant, looking out to the crowd. Could be a poker tell. Maybe he doesn't have any outs, or maybe he is just that steely in the face. He's ready to slap down the Spirit of Yubel, but I feel like that's what he would need to survive. Now, we could have super polarization right now.
It would be great.
Oh my god.
But this is a really rough position. Likely it's going to be the Ghost Spell you mentioned earlier.
It is the Ghost Spell in Haunted Mansion.
There is a Spirit of Yubel. Okay, this
now,
is
reading
great.
carefully. This is the Duel Academy exam. Do you negate it or not, Mikkel? Because if you do, you might negate and destroy, and that's where the real fun begins.
I think you'd probably leave it. No, I think destroying it still might be the better option because you don't give them the additional card.
Okay. Spirit Yubel second effect.
Second effect is coming through, and that's going to be Ash Blossom.
Ash Blossom.
Mikhail was ready for that. If only this was a call by the grave right there.
You don't usually get to do that again. Most of the time we have these battle phase effects. They're happening sometime in damage calculation, but this effect happened on attack declaration, so the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring was perfect.
Eternal favorite.
Oh, Eternal Favorite bringing the card back. We got it negated. Remember, Skull Guardian Protective Voiceless Voice once per turn. Even if multiple copies, we're putting this monster back onto the field, and now we get to activate the effect of Spirit of Yubel. Actually, no, you do not get to activate the effect of Spirit of Yubel because this one you do not have any response. The only way you can actually get that effect is that if this is Chain Link 2.
How unfortunate. There is. He's hanging in the game. That's the main thing, is it just shows you how resilient these cards are. So you've been thinking about giving Yubel a try. Man, you definitely know how this deck works now. It's very good.
Remember the position.
Oh, yeah. Let's
Yeah,
not make that
remember the
mistake.
position.
Exactly. Yeah, so there is no activation of the Spirit of Yubel because of Eternal Favorites. There is no further reaction. It locks you out of response, and that includes your own effects.
I know. Neither player can activate those cards or effects, and that was supposed to be good, but unfortunately it's kind of slowed Yubel down.
It needs to be Chain Link 2. Chain Link 2 is the only way to kind of bypass that.
All right, looks like we're going to go ahead and send low to the graveyard here. Might just be bringing out a Link Karibo, maybe a relinquished Anima.
I think we are going to relinquish Anima.
That feels like SP Little Knight.
This is, yes, absolutely. This is one of the best ways to clear off the Yubel. We're getting rid of one of these Skull Guardians. That's fine because you do have the trap card Radiance to shuffle it back into the deck and get additional summons. We're going to see the SP Little Knight. We're going to banish the Yubel, Spirit of Yubel. Oh no.
Truly a spirit now that she's met the banishment, and now the resources on Asuka's side are very slim.
Boy,
now it looks like we might be sending SP Little Knight as a material, maybe not? No. Thinking about it?
I think
Why would you do
Spirit
that?
of, sorry, not Spirit, but the SP Little Knight is great to just apply pressure to the any sort of future Yubels coming out.
Yes, SP Little Knight. And SP Little Knight is a great card here, certainly helpful, but now it looks like we're getting into things.
This is interesting. We are summoning out the Dark Beckoning Beast. Are we going to attempt to negate and destroy it? Or we're going to instead use SP Little Knight to banish it. That still allows the effect to resolve.
That's a little scary. I'm not sure that would pick that unless you intend to negate the opening of the Spirit Gates.
Eternal Favorite effect, special summon back the Spirit of Yubel. Thinking on the activation of that card.
So we're not quite there yet. He may have resolved that effect too quickly. Okay, good. He's let his opponent have an opportunity to respond.
And I think we are going to attempt to destroy it by destroying that trap card with it.
So just doing a great job of pinpointing how to get through the Yubel strategy. Again, Mikhail may be learning on the fly, but he's doing a great job.
You're definitely
so
learning
it seems
on
like
the fly,
they negated the activation of that effect
well.
through Skull Guardian, destroying the Eternal Favorite. And now we're going to see the effect of
I didn't realize what the timer is.
And so this is going to be the most difficult part again. There should be a Spirit of Yubel in the graveyard, though, so even when we could search, it's not necessarily going to lead to another Yubel card immediately.
Mm-hmm.
If players go back and forth.
They're getting a little coaching in there, I believe.
Yeah, it's totally legal at the Team YCS. Phone a friend. You got your best buddy next to you. Might as well rely on them.
We're getting everything destroyed here.
Don't I have to speak to
So the trap card, no, the trap card was used. There we go.
There we go.
We can only see what has been used, and we can only speculate. Oh,
but you can only use one effect that turn and only once that turn, and he has used it. For students of Duel Academy at home, remember, using is attempting to activate even if it doesn't happen.
Oh no, it's such a good card, yet we are locking ourselves out.
Well, just like at the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 3, you get to see Yubel clutch around you, and there's the handshake. She was there to save you, but looks like we were fused to 12 dimensions another time.
So close, so close. What an epic duel. I think that was a very tough matchup for Mikhail.
Oh, absolutely. And it seemed like in that very first game, he wasn't sure how to play against the deck, but he made those adaptations, which is really important, especially when you are just getting to the first major YCS in North America that's featuring all these new cards.